Hey guys, welcome back to the channel, and Batman is my favorite superhero ever. He's Batman, enough said, but of all the variations of the Caped Crusader, my favorite by far is the one from the DCAU. Everything about this Batman was just perfect, and I can't really explain it. Only people who've seen the show can really know that, yeah, it was perfect. But there's also a second Batman in this continuity, being Terry McGinnis, the second and predecessor to the original Bruce Wayne in the animated series Batman Beyond. Seeing as how tomorrow is Batman Day, I thought that there would be no perfect time than now to talk about which of these Batman or Batmen is superior. But before that, I want to thank you guys for the constant support. Each and every one of my videos have been doing amazing, and if you guys want to join the wave, be sure to subscribe. It's a free way to support the channel. I post weekly content, and if you want to unsubscribe anytime you want, then you can do that. But with all that out the way, let's get into the matchup. There are two ways that I'm going to be looking at this matchup. The first way that I'll be looking at this matchup is by analyzing the stats, the attack potency, the speed, the basic. And then the second part will be an inverse perspective. This part of the video will be analyzing performances against certain characters, statements, narrative, stuff like that. It's important that we do this so that we get a comprehensive view of both of these characters to get the most accurate assessment of who would win this fight more times than not. So with those rules set, let's start with Batman Beyond, who should be the stronger of the two Batman, believe it or not. And overall, in terms of physical AP, I have Terry McGinnis in the wall to small building ranges in terms of attack potency. This line of thinking is also consistent with his shown feats. He has a lot of impressive stuff, such as being able to kick robots through walls. He could kick a stone monster through a pillar and knock it out seemingly. And his suit was shown to have the ability to punch through walls and then tear down the same wall, pulling his fist out of the wall. The suit that he's wearing is also explicitly stated to be stronger than the user, so it's safe to say that it's a boost to Terry's own AP. Getting into the more calculable and quantifiable stuff, he was able to fight the Joker. In Batman the Animated Series, the Joker is able to survive a bell falling on him. Putting the Joker's durability in the small building range, Terry should scale this for obvious reasons, being that he can injure the Joker, so yeah, small building level is pretty consistent for this interpretation of the Caped Crusader. His durability is also nothing to scoff at either, seeing as how he's able to survive being thrown through walls on multiple occasions, and he was able to survive a blast that could take out a small infantry. And he was able to take a beating from the Joker as well. Seeing as how he's Batman, he can obviously take a punch. So overall, I think it's a safe, logical assertion to say that Batman's durability scales to his AP. Moving on to speed now, this generation of Batman is also quite nimble on his feet. Seeing as how he should scale to multiple bullet timing feats in the show, he can dodge sonic attacks, and he was also able to dodge electricity from Static Shock himself. But at a highest end, he could dodge attacks from the original Mr. Freeze. Mr. Freeze being someone that the original Batman had to fight on multiple occasions. When we get to Bruce's part, I'll talk about why scaling to Bruce in terms of speed is probably the highest end that you can get for Batman Beyond. But moving on to his skill now. Terry is somewhat trained by Bruce, and in the show itself, it's shown that he's able to train with duplicates of the original Batman's villains. And he was also able to train with a colleague of the original Batman, and before even completing his training in full, he was complimented on his moves. Moving on to some of his equipment now, obviously he can fly, and he has the basic batarangs, as well as explosive and electrical variants respectively, and he has smoke bombs, knockout gas, and flashbangs if he's cornered and needs to get out of a situation. But with the combatant as skilled and well-rounded as Terry, good luck with getting him in that position to begin with. Bruce Wayne should overall be in the same attack potency ballpark, as he can fight individuals who can slam through metal doors. He can fight on par with and body slam Clayface, and he can slam him with enough force to tear his arms off. Keep in mind, the same Clayface can slam himself through walls and no-sell it pretty much. Though weaker, he can stagger Bane, the same Bane who was able to punch through multiple stone walls, and he was able to harm Ricky the Hook, and Ricky the Hook was durable enough to no-sell this, even being able to get up seconds later seemingly unaffected at all. He has harmed and beaten down Killer Croc, being able to kick him so hard that his head gets stuck in the middle of a moving truck. But stepping into the more rattier stuff for Batman, he was able to one-shot Sinestro with a ring that can destroy planets. He was able to stagger Darkseid, as well as a Brainiac-infused Lex Luthor. He can fight and knock out parademons who are totally unaffected by slamming their bodies so hard that they crush cars. And he could take a beating from Ra's al Ghul with a portion of Superman's powers. Though the portion he took from Superman is unquantifiable, it was still enough to leave Superman visibly weakened. And he could take a punch from a being who was shown to immediately destroy a car with the same punch. All of that stuff is pretty ratty, so I'll let you guys decide what to do with that. Moving on to his speed now. At a low end, he's a casual bullet timer, being able to evade and dodge bullets after they've already been fired. While holding back, he can throw a punch at 1/20th of a second, but at an absolute highest end, you could argue that he's in the relativistic to faster than light category in terms of speed. He was able to dodge Mr. Freeze's laser-powered gun. In another instance, he was able to dodge a medical laser. He should be faster than Huntress, who was able to dodge attacks from Wonder Woman, and he should be faster than Black Canary as well, who was able to dodge swings from Hot Girl. And whether you think Batman scales to Sinestro's planet-busting AP, he was still able to blitz him with his Batarang. And most infamously, he was able to dodge Darkseid's Omega Beams, which have tagged Superman in the past. So in conclusion, you could be a rat with Batman's scaling. It doesn't really matter much because Terry should scale to wherever you scale Batman's speed, but it's still kind of important to know. Batman's also a very skilled combatant, with one statement saying that he honed his ability to an unparalleled level. He's a master of martial arts as well as boxing, and he's also considered to be one of the world's greatest practitioners in the skill of unarmed combat. On top of that, he's also stated to be an expert in nearly every form of martial arts known to man, and he has developed his own fighting style, which is a fusion of karate, old-fashioned street fighting, judo, and jiu-jitsu as well. And very notably, he was able to gain the respect of Ra's al Ghul, who has literal centuries worth of battle IQ. He's commonly referred to as a masterful warrior, and he's perfected many martial arts as well. And to avoid redundancy, he generally has some type of variant of what Terry has on deck. I don't think saying Batman has a plethora of gadgets for various and unique situations is quite contentious, but yeah, he has a lot of stuff. Okay, now since we've looked into the individual scaling for both these Batman, let's broaden our approach by looking at an inverse perspective, where I will be looking at multiple instances comparing these two Batmen directly. Okay, the first instance that I want to talk about comes from an episode of Justice League Unlimited. Due to time travel, Bruce Wayne and Terry McGinnis are both present in this episode. It's pretty cool fan service seeing these two generations of Batman fight together and work together. But well, Terry ends up dying in a pretty pathetic way as well, not gonna lie. Some of you guys may think that this is a little inconclusive due to the chaotic nature of the situation, but I just brought it up because I think it's interesting that Terry McGinnis died in a Justice League level mission. The same quality of missions that Bruce literally has 2 shows worth of experience in. So overall, this is kind of one that is inconclusive, but it should still give Bruce a point in the skill department at the very least. But don't worry, I have literally 3 more examples of inverse that are much more direct. In Batman Beyond Volume 2 Issue 1, old Bruce becomes victim to subliminal messages that lead him to think that Terry McGinnis has gone rogue. So old Batman puts the suit back on and the two have a scuffle. Though Terry is much stronger than an old Batman, 10 times stronger to be exact, Batman's still able to hurt Terry, and he even manages to throw him off, even remarking that strategy and skill will beat strength any day of the week. So let's talk about this exact instance. Though you could argue that Terry wasn't trying to hurt Batman, he was still injured by Bruce. He still got outskilled and outsmarted by Bruce. And remember, the Batman in this instance is literally old. So using these 2 instances, it's not looking that good for Terry. At best, this is inconclusive, and at worst, Terry got outskilled and outplayed by a Batman literally decades out of his prime. And ladies and gentlemen, I'm afraid to say that it only gets worse from here. In Batman Beyond, there's an episode of the series called Out of the Past, where Talia al Ghul claims that she's mastered the Lazarus Pit and offers Batman a chance for his youth again. Bruce obliges, and he gets younger again, younger than he's ever been in years. But no, he remarks even himself that it's not quite his prime. This sentiment is visually apparent as well as Bruce has some gray hair still. Later on in the episode, Bruce in the state is called the perfect specimen, despite Terry being there as well. And this is consistent as in the same episode, Bruce was able to beat up a thug that was literally choking out Terry. You could chalk up these instances to Terry's not in his suit, so it doesn't scale to Batman Beyond. Unfortunately for Terry though, there's a scene where Bruce is trapped and Terry is struggling to rip the confines of what Bruce is stuck in. Note that Terry has his suit on in this instance. Later on in the same episode though, old Bruce Wayne's able to rip off the same confides. Compare the performances and it's night and day. If you didn't think the last two were definitive, this entire episode is pretty concrete and definitive for Bruce's argument. You could even unironically argue that old man Bruce Wayne is stronger than Terry with his suit on. And it wouldn't even be inconsistent because 80-year-old Bruce Wayne was able to hurt Terry. But remember, we have one more instance to talk about, and this one is possibly the most concrete and undeniable piece of proof to who wins this matchup. And it comes to us from Batman Return of the Joker. Terry fights former Robin Tim Drake, who has a chip inside of his head that kind of makes him the Joker. Thing is though, and this is important because the Joker is sharing the consciousness and body of Tim Drake, he remembers all of Tim Drake's tricks and skill. Joker at this point even remarks he knows every trick the original Batman and Robin knew at their peak. And overall, this sentiment is generous, as he's using the body of Tim Drake, and I don't think you're gonna argue that Tim Drake is as skilled as Bruce Wayne in this continuity. Anyways, Terry proceeds to lose in hand-to-hand combat to the Joker, and the Joker calls him an amateur. Terry's outmatched, and he knows it, so he resorts to calling Bruce for his help. Later on, Terry is only able to get the upper hand for a short time by fighting dirty and playing into the Joker side of the personality by taunting him and calling him not funny and insulting him. Not actually beating him, mind you. And even after playing into the Joker side, Joker somewhat quickly regains the upper hand, even choking him out until Batman's able to shock him at the very last second. So to sum up this instance, Terry McGinnis has to cheat against an enemy who at worst has the skills of Tim Drake Robin, and at best is relative to the original Batman in his prime. So looking at all four of these instances, it's not looking good for Terry at all. And so with all of that outlined, I hope you understand why I favor Bruce in this scenario more times than not. I'm not even gonna lie, I was pretty shocked looking into some of this stuff. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how Batman Beyond should be the strongest, but not how he actually was the strongest. I thought that he would have better feats, but looking into it, no, Batman has nuttier stuff. Not to disregard Terry or anything, he has some pretty decent stuff as well, but what's more impressive, staggering a monster made of stone or staggering Darkseid? Even disregarding the feats and inverse stuff, let's say that Terry is stronger than Bruce. You know, hypothetically speaking. DCAU Bruce Wayne is infamous for fighting people who have a wider power gap than him and Terry would. Or you could just simply say that Bruce is stronger, and you wouldn't even be wrong. Feats and inverse exist, and we talked about it for the past 10 minutes. So overall, I see this matchup going down in two ways. If you use inverse and feats, Batman is probably stronger and Terry wouldn't be able to hurt him. Or two, if you think Terry is stronger than some reason, I think that Return of the Joker made it pretty clear that Bruce and Terry are not on the same level in terms of skill. And Batman has outskilled and beaten people much stronger than Terry, such as Bane, and he even flipped Calabac one time. Same guy who was pressing Superman in his animated series. So overall, I got Bruce Wayne. He has more experience and skill, he has better feats and attack potency stuff, and he also has inverse stuff which kind of supports his stuff to a ludicrous extent. So just because one is from the future and has better technology, always bet on Batman, the real one.
I am vengeance. I am the night. I am Batman!
And with that, we're done with the video. Thank you guys for watching. I'll let you go now. We'll be back next week. And until then, stay big, G fans.